Hello, fictional. Welcome to the Fiction Series X. Today we are gonna see, what if Issei got harem with Kirby, Rias and Koneko? Part 1. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. I, Kirby, am now fighting my friend right now I guess he's my enemy Magolor. I went around all of Dreamland looking for pieces of this guy's ship so he could go back home. He asked me for help and there was no way I could say no to him. I'll help anyone who needs it or whoever offers me food. Back to the point, in the end he turned back on me and powered up into this god. He was definitely tough, that's for sure, and he definitely wasn't holding anything back on me. Bow down to your crowned ruler, you pink puffball. You've no place in the empire that Dreamland shall become. He spoke to me in that gravelly monster voice, the voice of a demon. In all honesty, his voice was scarier than Zero's, and that was saying something truly. To his words, I shook my head furiously. There's no way I can just kneel down while you take Dreamland. I have to beat you for my friends too. For Meta Knight, Deaded, and D. I don't know what you did with them when you separated me from them, but I will beat you. Taking a tight hold on the Ultra Sword, I rushed up to him as he charged his magic in his hands. Come meet your end. Fool. Wasting no time, I expanded the Ultra Sword and smashed it into the magic in his hand. It was really a struggle to push through, but I persevered, the thought of losing giving me strength as I pushed through his magic. I held my Ultra Sword high above and slashed him furiously, the Ultra Sword taking a different form each time until I held it behind me and let it grow to its absolute largest size and brought it down on him. I cut through like a hot knife through butter as the darkness flew out from Magolor's wound as he glared daggers at me. I don't believe this to be defeated by the likes of you know. If I must go down, then I'll take all of Dreamland with me. He opened up a huge black hole above us as everything around us was sucked in, even Magolor himself. And me too. Wah. I was being lifted. No. As he was sucked in I heard Magolor laughing. Die filth. Why? I yelled as I was pulled off of the ground and sucked into the large black hole. I, Hyoudou Issei, am riding back to Kuo Academy, where my super busty Bishuoho of a master is waiting for me after the devil's work. I gotta admit, being a devil is pretty awesome, especially since I'm surrounded by Bishuohos with huge oppai. Butchus look so soft. But Akeno-sans also look elastic with perfect aerial like any Japanese woman should. Asia's are developing, but when they're done they'll be glorious. Koneko-chans are very small but still cute, but she hates when I look at them. Then there's that pretty boy Kiba. The enemy of all men. Thinking over my hatred for Kiba, I almost pedaled right past the mop of pink hair lying in the street. What happened to this person? Wait, suddenly my face was stretching into a lewd look, with hair that color it must be a Bishuoho with big oppai. I shook my head, right now this person needs help. But maybe if I'm right she'll want to repay me for saving her. Oh, thank you so much. How can I ever repay you, Ai-sama? Her massive breasts spilling out of her shirt. You can repay me with your body. Let me ravish it. I had to wipe the blood from my nose before I stopped and ran over to whoever it was. I flipped them over and slightly cried when I saw it was a young boy. I am straight, I love oppai, but even I must admit that this kid is adorable. Like the puppy kind of cute. He looked about as old as Koneko-chan too. I lowered my head to his unfortunately male chest and panicked when I didn't hear a heartbeat. Crap, what do I do? Wait. Maybe if I get him to Butchu fast enough she can revive him with her evil pieces. I know I kinda just picked some random kid off the street but shut up. I panicked. I loaded him onto my back and pedaled off for Kuo Academy as fast I could. I burst through the door with the kid on my back. When I got there, everyone stared at me surprised with my entrance. Butchu? He needs help. I dropped him on the floor in front of her. She still seemed shocked and confused. Ice. Who is this? She asked me, but we don't have time. I don't know, but you have to help him, he's not breathing. And Asia can't heal him. Butchu seemed to think it over first, before she narrowed her eyes. Why should I make him my servant if I don't know who he is? He could be a fallen angel. For once, I glared back at Butchu. So you let him die here without trying to help him? She widened her eyes before locking her gaze onto the boy clad in a pink shirt and blue jeans on the floor. I think you should help him, Rias. I don't think Ice will forgive you if you don't. Well, I might if she let me fondle her breasts, I mean no. Yes, Butchu. It wouldn't be fair to leave him there to die. Even that pretty boy Kiba agreed with me. For once thanks you Bishounen. Please help him. Asia had her hands clasped together in a kind of prayer to our master. Please help him, Butchu. Whoa. Even Koneko-chan wanted to help. She barely ever spoke. Butchu looked at all of us and then back to the kid before sighing, okay, I'll use my remaining rook piece to revive him. I wouldn't want my adorable servants to despise me. Thank you, Butchu. I yell in relief and smile as a magic circle appears with a Gremory symbol on it. A rook piece is placed on the kid's chest and sinks in as the ritual is complete. It's just like when she did it on Asia. The boy's eyes suddenly began twitching, he was waking up. Why does my head hurt so much? And why do I feel so weird? I open my eyes and am greeted with the sight of 6 people standing above me. Wait, these people look funny, they don't look like any Dreamlanders I've ever seen. Where am I? Ah, you're awake. Tell me your name. The woman with the red hair asked me. I scratched my head. Wait, what are these 5 things on my hands? And what are these long sticks connecting my stomach and feet, and what is this thing I'm feeling between those long sticks? Plus, what's this hairy stuff on my head? Poyo? I spoke, everyone surrounding me gave me weird looks. Well, I'm used to that. Meta Knight and Deaded used to give me the same look. Why do I feel like I can say something else, though? I mean, my name is Kirby. The brown-haired guy next to her raised a brow. Just Kirby? What about your second name? Second name? Yeah, Meta told me about those, right? Plus, I met that guy on Ice Cream Island once. Oh yeah, his name was. Right, Sakurai Kirby. That's my name. It feels weird using words like Meta and Deaded do. Most of what I'm saying is what I heard them say. Ara, he's so cute, isn't he? The black-haired woman said as she smiled at me, but that smile was a little scary. Yes, he is. The red-haired lady agreed. What does that word even mean? So many people call me that anyway. I am Rias Gremory, your new master. Welcome to our family. She was smiling warmly at me, causing me to smile back. Wait, what does master mean? Ifufu, my name is Himejima Keno, Ria's queen. Her queen. Yo, I'm Hyoudou Issei, the guy that saved you and the future harem king. Harem king? What? I'm so confused. Weird as I know what that means, but I don't know what it means. Plus, this guy saved me. I'm thankful. My name is Hyoudou Kiba, Butchu's knight. Her knight. I'm Asia Argento. I'm her new bishop. She seems really nice. Asia, huh? The bishop. Hyoudou Koneko. The girl with the white hair on the couch with a rather large cookie in her hand told me, but I barely heard any of it due to that cookie in her hand. I want a cookie too. Hey, think you have another one of those cookies, it looks delicious. My mouth must have been watering a waterfall because everyone except Koneko sweat dropped. She merely reached into the bag next to her and tossed a cookie at me, which I grabbed and promptly swallowed in one bite. Ifufu, it seems our new rook likes sweets just as much as Koneko-chan. As much? I'd say more, ma'am. I just love food. I announced loud and proud with my mouth full as I heard Asia giggle at my proclamation for my love. Eventually even Ms. Rias was laughing along with Asia and Ms. Akeno too. You're adorable, Kirby, but we still need to prove that you aren't just wasting my rook piece now, don't we? She said it with a small smile on her face. She turned to Issei and smiled at him. Issei, how about you and Kirby have a little spar? This way I can see how strong Kirby is and how much you've grown. A spar? Me and Meta used to have those all the time. So now I'll fight Issei. Well, if you say so, then yes, but you. She then turned to me and gestured for everyone to come outside with her. She led us all to the yard behind that building we were in. Yeah, I still don't know where I am. Issei, bring out your boosted gear. Ice nodded and a red glow enveloped his left hand and a red gauntlet appeared. Whoa, that looks so cool. Can I copy that? Suddenly, I heard someone say. Boost. Kirby, are you alright with this? I don't want Ice to hurt you. I shook my head. I don't know how strong Ice is, but I do know that if I can fight Magolor, then I can fight Ice. Okay, go. Suddenly, Issei was charging at me, and my eyes narrowed as I saw him rear back his fist and punch at me. I slid under the punch and flipped onto my feet on the other side. It's weird, this body is definitely different than my old one, but it still feels the same. Issei twisted around and sent another punch at my face. Without any time to dodge again, I lifted up my hand and caught Ice's punch. He and everyone else seemed shocked. I don't know why, since Ice's punch was kinda weak, or was that just me? What I didn't expect was when I was engulfed in the white light of when I copy a power weight, was I. When the light died down, I had a perfect replica of Ice's gauntlet on my hand. I heard everybody gasp off to the side. What? How did Kirby he has so there can be 2 Sekiryuite? No, each generation has a single one. So how is it that Kirby has a perfect copy of Ice's sacred gear? What the? How'd you do that? I hear Issei yell at Kirby, who simply shrugs in return. I copied your power, it's something I've always been able to do. It usually doesn't work like that though, so he did copy Ice. How is that possible? Is it his sacred gear? It seems our new cowhide is filled with surprises. I didn't expect this at all. Akeno exclaims next to me with her usual smile on her face. I can only agree with my queen. Kirby, was that your sacred gear at work? I ask, although I know I've never heard of any sacred gear that could do that. Sacred what? Whatever it is, no. Kirby replies with a raised eyebrow and an adorable little frown on his face. I almost cooed at him. Then I saw him turn back to Ice with a small smile on his determined face. Come on, Ice. I watched in astonishment as Kirby's version of the boosted gear glowed with a green light, and next I heard. Boost. Of course, in Kirby's case, it was said in this cute high-pitched voice that almost made everyone present coo. I looked over to see even Hyoudou struggling to keep a straight face at the sound. Back to the fight, Kirby was dashing straight at Ice, with the boosted replica held behind him. Ice's grew wide, and when he tried blocking with the original boosted gear, he was sent flying back from Kirby's monstrous punch. Unbelievable, that punch felt stronger than even my Koneko-chan. And her strength is incredible. To my left, I hear Koneko-chan quietly murmur, Kirby-san is very powerful. I must agree with you, my rook. As Ice tumbled to a stop, he pushed himself back up and pointed straight at Kirby with wide eyes. What the hell was that? Kirby gave him an incredulous stare and tilted his head adorably. A punch. Everyone present fell over at his simple answer before Ice smacked his forehead. Why was it so strong? Kirby scratched his cheek before answering. That wasn't strong. I barely put anything in that, I could punch a lot harder than that. That was like a tap for him. Amazing Ice, thank you for bringing this new rook to me. At this point, I've seen enough. Okay, you too. That's enough. I heard Ms. Rias say that we were done and let out a deep breath. That was fun. Using Ice's power was awesome. I hope we can fight again sometime. I let my copied ability leave my body as I held the star that it was held in and tossed it behind me before walking over to everyone else with Ice, who seemed depressed. I can't believe I just lost to my cowhide, he moped as we neared the others. Mr. Kiba was looking at me in interest. Ms. Asia was looking at me with wide eyes. Ms. Akeno was giving me that scary smile again. Koneko was looking at me with the same blank look on her face with just a hint of interest, and Ms. Rias was smiling at me. That was truly amazing, Kirby. I wouldn't guess you'd be so strong. She told me and I grinned before shrugging. I'm happy I decided to save you. Not just because you're strong, but I can sense that you are pure. I am? Thank you, I guess. She hugged me then, and my eyes widened before hugging her back and smiling. Welcome to our family, Kirby. Everyone else was smiling at me, and Issei gave me a thumbs up. I think I really like these guys, but I still need to figure what happened to Dreamland and my friends. Meta D-deaded, please be alright. I don't know why, but you, as Ms. Rias wanted me to call her from now on, wanted me to do this, but if she's my master now I should listen, I guess. I pushed open the door as the man inside called for me. Say hello to our new transfer first-year student Sakurai Kirby. The teacher introduced me as I walked in clad in the Kuo Academy's boys' winter uniform. Recalling how Akeno-senpai taught me how to introduce MYSELF as well as the honorific I just used, I began speaking. Hello, I'm Sakurai Kirby. Please take care of me. And as expected. Hawaii. All females in the room screamed out at the sight of me as I felt the sweat drop on the back of my head. Quickly I spotted Koneko-chan over at the corner and sat down next to her as I was swarmed by students. I, Kirby, am now in the club room of the Occult Research Club. But you told me to come here every day after school, so I came with Koneko-chan. Issei and the others were already there waiting for us. Ah, welcome Koneko-chan, Kirby-kun. But you greeted us as we walked in. I waved at her with a smile as Koneko-chan simply walked over to her usual seat after giving a quiet greeting. So what are we doing today, Butchu? I ask her, still pretty clueless as to what we do at these meetings. Today we're going to discuss the topic of getting you, Issei, and Asia getting familiars. Familiars? Oh yeah, Akeno-senpai taught me about those too. They're supposed to be like your partner, right? That you can summon anytime. Suddenly, I see Ice gain a tick mark on his head, but you. Asia and I had to go hand out flyers before you even decided to think about this flyers. Was I supposed to be handing those out? Why? Well, I suppose you're right, but suddenly Butchu walked over to me and pinched my cheek and pouted, if they see my adorable little Kirby out on the street alone, they might just steal him from me. I can get stolen. Wow, Japan sure is a scary place, but I wish Butchu would stop stretching my face like this. It really hurts. That's no excuse. Issei yelled out in protest as Rias sighed. Alright, I suppose it is too early for him to get a familiar. He hasn't even done the devil's work yet, but I'd still like for him to come with us. What's the devil's work? Is that something I have to do now? Butchu, what's the devil's work? Akeno-senpai hadn't taught me about this yet. Butchu smiled at me again. As devils, we get requests from humans to fulfill a wish of theirs and hopefully form a contract with them. Fulfill wishes. Okay, I think I get it. Thank you, Butchu. When the time comes for you to do it, Kirby, you'll transport there via magic circle. Right. How do I do that? That's when two women who looked as old as Butchu and Akeno-senpai came in, followed by a group of people. The woman with short hair and glasses looked at Issei, Asia, and I with a slightly surprised look. Arias, you've expanded your peerage. She asked my master, who nodded and pointed at us three. This is Asia Argento, my bishop, Hyoudou Issei, my pawn and my newest member Sakurai Kirby, my rook. Ah but Sona, it seems you've also gained an additional member. As Butchu said this, the blonde guy next to Sona-san walked forward as Issei seemed to recognize him. Hey, I know you, you're a part of the student council, right? I said as the guy nodded. Yeah, I'm Kaichu's new pawn Genshiro Saji. Oh, so he's a pawn like Ice. That means they'll be really good friends. Hey, I'm a pawn too. Guess that makes us equals. Ice exclaimed cheerfully to the guy, who simply smirked. Oh please don't go comparing me to you. I took up 4 pawn pieces, you know. He held up 4 of his fingers as Sona Kaichu sighed. Saji, Hyoudou Issei used up all 8 pieces. That Saji guy looked super shocked after what she told him about Ice. Looks like Ice had him beat. All 8. This guy? No way. After that Sona had to apologize for Saji's actions as Butchu brought up the subject of familiars again, causing Sona Kaichu to raise an eyebrow. Oh? You plan to go for your familiars as well? Well, that proposes a problem for us since he only accepts once a month. Butchu smiled at Sona Kaichu before raising her hand. How about we settle this with a little competition then? Before I can wonder what Butchu means by competition, Sona Kaichu's eyes grew wide. Competition? Surely you don't mean a rating game. Rating game? What the heck is that supposed to be? Butchu simply laughed it off. No, I doubt we'd be allowed to do that anyway. I know. How about we settle this like regular teenagers do? How do regular teenagers handle these things? So we teenagers usually handle our problems with sports. Okay. Ice, Asia-chan, Kiba, Koneko-chan and I are at Kuo's tennis court as we watch Butchu and Akeno-senpai about to begin a match against Sona Kaichu and Tsubaki Fukakechu. All the boys are cheering really loudly and Ice has his face pressed up against the fence. Is it because Butchu and Akeno-senpai are out there? Wow, they must really like them. Suddenly, I hear Butchu yell out, "Are you ready, Sona?" To which Sona Kaichu merely smirked and pointed a racket at Butchu. As ready as ever, Rias. Looks like they're really pumped up, huh? This game looks like it'll be really fun. If Yufu, then shall we begin? Akeno-senpai asked as the match started and the boys' cheering intensified. Kiba scratched the back of his head, clearly confused. Why are there so many people at a tennis match? In response, Koneko-chan pointed at Ice, who had splurting out of his nose. Oh no. Is he alright? That doesn't look too good. Most are perverted boys like him. What does perverted mean? I dunno, but I turned back to the match which was really intense, but suddenly I turned back to Koneko-chan with a question mark probably dancing above my head. Koneko-chan, why are all these boys' noses bleeding? She sighed at my question and placed a hand on my shoulder. Kirby-kun, just promise you'll never be like them. She tells me as we both watch all of them blast away in a shot of blood. I still don't what she meant by that though. Too bad it ended in a draw. From my place next to Koneko-chan, I have a clear view of the busted up racket she was holding. Are all tennis matches like this, Koneko-chan? I ask her as she shakes her head. They used magic in their swings, Kirby-kun, only Butchu and Kaichu could have a tennis match like that one. I nod as she explains to me what happened. I'm no stranger to magic, I use it in my beam form after all. So what happens now, Butchu? How do we decide who gets their familiars? Ice asked our master, who merely smiled at him. We're deciding on another sport to play right now, Ice. More of a team sport actually. Butchu said before Akeno-senpai walked up to her. Arias, Sona has decided on dodgeball, will that do for you? Butchu merely nodded in agreement. So it's decided. We'll play dodgeball. Get ready my servants. A team sport. Okay, but. What's dodgeball? Is it something I can eat? On the night of the game, the two sides of Gremory and Citri are facing down one another. Issei had made us all headbands that everyone immensely appreciated and we wore proudly. He said since he was horrible at sports, he wanted to do something for the team. Butchu had explained to me that all I had to do was get the ball and chuck as hard as I could at the other team's faces while not getting hit. Seems easy enough. As the game begins and the girl from the Citri side that's on our side of the field chucks the ball, unfortunately, it grazes Koneko-chan's shirt and shreds it, leaving that stuff she wears underneath it exposed. I still don't get why Ice's nose keeps bleeding, that looks unhealthy. After that, Tsubaki Fukakechu tossed a really strong throw that at first seemed to be heading after Butchu, but suddenly swerved and headed for me. Kirby. Look out. Without thinking about it, I stuck my hand out and caught it in my hand, stopping it dead in its tracks, slightly skidding back from the force. All from the Citri side looked at me in shock, Tsubaki Fukakechu completely shocked still. To stop Tsubaki's throw such amazing strength, I think I heard Kaichu mutter as Saji openly gawked at me. I turned to my master who had a large grin on her face and asked. I just throw it, right but you? She smiled at me and nodded before I turned back to my opponents and threw the ball straight at one of them. When it hit her, she went flying into the far wall with swirls in her eyes. Did I do it right? Looks like everyone's shocked again, looks like I caused it a lot. From that point on, everyone on the other team aimed right for me. I had sidestep throws left and right and even leap right over one to avoid it. One ball got thrown at ice that was impossible to dodge, so it hit him in the eye. I'm not sure what that area is called, but I felt the pain from it, that's for sure. After leaving Asia to heal ice, Koneko-chan came back into the game and returned the favor to Saji, putting him in the same situation as Ice was. Ouch. We won in the game and the rights to receive familiars. The trip for Ice's and Asia-chan's familiars was weird. We met this guy that reminded me of someone I knew from a fighting tournament I entered a while ago, and then there was that water sprite that scared Ice and made him cry from the betrayal, as well as the slime that started shredding apart the girl's clothes. I said he definitely wanted it for his familiar, but the girls had to destroy it. While having my eyes covered by Kiba, Ice's nose was gushing and Koneko-chan punched his lights out for looking at her. In the end, Asia got a small dragon which she named Ras, and it doesn't like Ice at all. Something about not liking other males. I wonder what my familiar will be. The next day, I sat in the club room with Butchu, Koneko-chan and this other lady that introduced herself as a servant of Gremory. I think she said her name was Grafia or something like that. Pretty soon all the others showed up, all of them looking as grim as Butchu did. Ice looked as confused as I probably did though. Why did it feel like everyone was on edge? Even Koneko-chan, who doesn't show much emotion, looks a little uneasy. I don't know what's going on, but I do know it can't be good. Once Grafia had introduced herself to everyone else, a magic circle came to the life on the floor, sweltering flames erupting from it. From the flames, a blond man wearing a red suit stepped out with a smirk on his face. Hello lower beings. I have graced you with my presence. I heard Butchu grunted his arrival, so she doesn't like him much. He doesn't seem very nice. Razor, Butchu growled out as this razor guy smiled weirdly at her, almost like how Ice stares at girls, just creepier. Rias, my lovely fiancé. So wonderful to see you once again, have you missed me? I heard a gasp behind me that definitely sounded like Ice, he sounded mad too. Fiancé, he cried out as Grafia nodded while Razor pulled Butchu down to sit with him, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. Yes, Rias-sama has been engaged to Razor-sama for a long time now. So that means they're gonna get married, right? I think that's what Meta explained to me a long time ago. Does Butchu even want to marry this guy? She seems very unhappy just being close to him. Butchu sat up when that Razor guy started rubbing his hand on her leg and turned to him. She was really angry. Stop it, Razor, there's no way I'll marry you, so just give up. Instead of getting angry like I thought he would, he just smirked. Ah, but Rias, have you forgotten the situation of your household? Rias turned to him with a glare. I uphold the reputation of my household and will not tarnish it by marrying the likes of you. She screamed at him as his eyes narrowed and he stepped up, grabbing Butchu's chin and forcing her face closer to his. I'm afraid I can't let you insult the name of the Phoenix anymore, Rias. They were staring into each other's eyes but not in the good way. Suddenly, Grafia put an end to the fight that almost broke out. IsseiXHarem sent me here with the intent to prevent any fights from starting. My lord insists that if there is a disagreement, then you two are to settle it in a rating game. There's that word again, what does it mean? I turn to Akeno-senpai. Senpai, what's a rating game? I ask her as she smiles at me before explaining. Well, Kirby-chan, a rating game is a battle between the peerages of two high-class devils. The evil P system I explained to you before comes into play here. I get it. So it's like a big fight between two sides. Ice must have been wondering the same thing because he nodded to Akeno-senpai's explanation too. Suddenly, Razor looked towards us. Rias, is this little group your entire peerage? Rias glared at him. Yes, what of it? She asked as Razor smirked and snapped his fingers, and 15 girls entered the room the same way he did. This is mine and as you can see I have a full set. Wow. He has a lot more people than us. That's not good. Ice looked shocked at the sight and then began crying. 15 Bishu-ohos. What a true man. Razor raised a brow at Ice and then turned to Butchu. Rias? Why is your servant staring at me and crying? At the question, Butchu rolled her eyes. He wants to be harem king. Razor smirked at the answer and called for one of the ladies. Ibaluna. He called her as she simply nodded and walked over to him. He grabbed her chin and made their lips touch. Wait, yuck. Is that their tongues? Huh. What's he doing to the watermelon on her chest? Koneko-chan then placed her hand over my eyes. Why does everybody keep doing that? You'll never have what I do, you low class scum. I heard Razor say to Ice. When Koneko-chan moved her hand from my eyes, I glared at him. Hey. I don't know what you were doing to that lady, but you can't tell Ice what he can and can't do. I shouted at him, his face began twisting into one of anger. Who do you think you're talking to, boy? I am an immortal phoenix. Oh yeah. Dynablade's a whole lot better of an immortal bird than you could ever be. I fought Dynablade, a really hard fight actually. There's no way this guy can compare himself to her. You don't deserve to marry my master. But you stared at me in shock, I guess she didn't expect me to get angry like that, huh? Ice was glaring at Razor next to me. Like my junior said, you don't own her. You promiscuous chicken shit. I am Rias Gremory's pawn. Nothing more, nothing less. We don't need any stupid rating game. I'll take you all right here. I summoned his boosted gear and jumped at Razor, who smirked before snapping his fingers. But you stared at Ice as well, shock all over her face. Mira. A blue-haired girl jumped out from the crowd and stood between Ice and Razor. I simply stared at her. Huh? She's such a small girl. I can't fight H, she hit him with that stick she was carrying. She threw him into the ceiling. Ice. Issei-san. Butchu and Asia screamed as Butchu ran up to Ice, holding his head in her arms. Are you alright, Ice? He nodded weakly at her. I'm sorry Butchu, he passed out. Who knew that the possessor of one of the 13 Longinus boosted gear would be such a weak guy? Razor grinned as he taunted my downed friend. GRR. How dare they do that to my friend? Butchu let her eyes get shadowed over by her hair, a red aura surrounding her whole body. Tell my brother that I agree to the rating game, Akeno-senpai gasped. Rias Grafia merely nodded. Understood. Butchu then turned to that phony firebird and glared at him with hatred. Razor, I swear I will blast you away. He smirked, that little smirk of his is starting to make me mad. He walked back over to the magic where his group waited. I'll be looking forward to it, Rias my love. He was about to leave, but I had something to say to him first. Hey Razor, he turned back to me, I'll make sure we beat you in that rating game and I won't pull any punches. He scoffed at me and waved me off. As if I should fear you. You're nothing compared to me. We'll see about that when the time comes, jerk. After Razor was gone, Butchu looked back down at Issei. Ice, I really don't like Razor. So, apparently, since we need more training, Butchu told us we'd be going to train up in the mountains for the 10 days before the rating game. I'm still not sure why I'm hiking up this huge bag, it's so light. I spouted as he saw the bags Koneko-chan and I were carrying, looks like he's having trouble with his. I would help but Butchu specifically told me not to help him. Why? I dunno, she never said why. Butchu said she wanted to help Ice, Asia, and I get stronger. Actually, she said she wanted to test my copy power and see exactly what I could copy and if there was anything that I couldn't. I don't know why we have to up into the mountains though, I would have done it if she had just asked. That mountain house was in sight now and it's huge. I hope there's some delicious food in there. I was about to turn to Koneko-chan and ask her if she knew, but when I did, she turned her head to the other way quickly. Uh-oh, did I do something to make her mad? Are you three ready for training? Butchu asked Ice, Asia-chan, and I as we nodded, we being Asia and I, Ice just silently man cried. We all stood right outside the house as Ice and Kiba sparred with wooden swords. I almost couldn't watch with how Ice was swinging his sword, that's not how you do it. You can't swing it like crazy. Don't get too comfy Kirby-kun. You and Koneko-chan will be sparring while those two are going. She wants me to fight Koneko-chan, but I don't want to hurt her, she's my friend. Koneko-chan, however, didn't seem to mind as she nodded. Yes, Butchu. She said before walking out onto the field and waiting for me. I snapped my head to my master. But Butchu. I can't fight Koneko-chan. Butchu only smiled at me and patted my head. It's alright, Kirby-kun. You and Koneko-chan won't be fighting seriously, I just need to see what will happen if you copy her abilities. I wanted to say no, but my master demanded it. I just hope I don't hurt her. I walk across from her and get ready to start our match. Out of the corner of my eye I see Ice and Kiba walk to the sidelines, Ice sporting a big bump on his head. Koneko-chan brought my attention back to her when she spoke. Kirby-kun, are you ready? I nod, honestly I don't want to be doing this at all. With my nod, Koneko-chan wastes no time leaping at me with a fist beat back before I leaped back, springing off of my right hand, Koneko-chan slamming it into the ground where I was a second ago. Shattered chunks of earth flew from the impact, a large hole made where she hit. Before I knew it, she was on me again, punching and kicking as I sidestepped and flipped away from her. After I backflipped away from one of her punches, I looked up and saw her come flying down on me with an axe kick. She definitely caught me there, all I can do now is defend I guess. Putting my hands up, I catch her kick, the ground beneath us shattering from the sheer force. With no option left, I will myself to copy her, and as I glowed with white light, I felt a headband wrap around my forehead. Ah, so Koneko-chan gave me the power of fighter. I roll my arm around a few times, it's been a little while since I've used this power. Alright Koneko-chan, let's go. She only nodded in response, her eyes were wide as she stared at me before she shook her head and we charged at each other. However, I did feel these weird things on my head. Ah, so that's Kirby-kun's transformation from Koneko-chan. A headband, the kind worn by a martial artist, interesting. Oh. Kirby-kun's hair has turned white like Koneko-chan's. And he even has a set of cat ears just like hers. I watch her eyes grow wide from Kirby-kun's transformation. What doesn't help her situation is how much more fluent Kirby-kun's attacks have become, and his already monstrous strength was immensely added too. That last punch that Koneko-chan dodged had enough force behind it to smash all of the trees behind his opponent without even making contact. Strength like that I had only seen one other person possess. Kirby-kun, Koneko-chan, that's enough. Come over you two. Oh, but you called us back. I was about to turn to Koneko-chan and tell her let's go, but she was already way ahead of me. What's wrong with Koneko-chan? She won't let me talk to her, she's usually quiet, but she at least listens to me. I shrug my shoulders as I dispel the star from my body and let it disperse into nothing, the power of fighter fading from me. I rush over to Koneko-chan and place a hand on her shoulder, she freezes before turning back to me with her usual look on her face. Yes, Kirby-kun. I frown at her in concern. Are you alright, Koneko-chan? She merely nods at me before going back over to our master, I sigh before following after her and to Butchu. With that Butchu led Ice and Asia to a Keno-senpai while I was left with Kiba, who had his real sword drawn. Koneko-chan watched us as we spoke, waiting for Butchu to return. We began as soon as she did. Ah Kirby-kun. I hope we can have a good match. I nodded him with a smile on my face, it'll be fun. The last time I got to practice with sword was with Meta a while ago. Kiba walked up to me and held his sword in front of me, and I understood what he meant. I lay my hand on the sword and felt myself glow, a hat appeared on my head, and my trusty purple hilted sword appeared in my hand. Kiba and I stepped back from each other before bowing and pointing our blades at one another. I won't hold back, Kiba. He smiled in return. I wouldn't want you to. He vanished from his spot and appeared to my right in mid-swing. I put my sword up and blocked before he tried the same thing on my left, and I blocked that one too. When Kiba came from the front, I swung my blade up to meet his, parrying his attack before slashing at him. My opponent gracefully backflipped to make distance between us before I charged at him as he landed. I kicked off the ground while maintaining my momentum and spun myself into a buzzsaw, slashing at Kiba several times as he was forced to block each hit. Once my attack was over, I kicked off of Kiba's sword and landed back in my original spot, ready for round 2. Koneko, watch as Kirby-kun spars with Kiba-senpai. Kirby-kun is very skilled and powerful, Kiba-senpai is the strongest swordsman I know, but Kirby-kun is fighting evenly with him. I'm also feeling happy whenever Kirby-kun smiles at me, and when he touches me I freeze up. I don't understand, I should ask Butchu about this later. Do you see it, Koneko-chan? I snap my attention to my master, who is watching the fight with interest in her eyes. Kirby-kun is very strong, isn't he? I think he may be stronger than what he lets on. I think so, Butchu, but how strong do you think he is, Butchu? She seemed to think for a minute before her smile disappeared and she told me. I believe in terms of a one-on-one fight, Kirby-kun could probably annihilate Razor if he couldn't regenerate himself. Kirby-kun is stronger than our enemy on his own. Just how strong is he? Are you sure, Butchu? She didn't need to think about it before she answered. Positive. Amazing, Kirby-kun. At one point, Kirby-kun smiled at me and I felt my face heat up slightly. What's wrong with me? Keno-san. This isn't fair. Why are we in here learning magic while Kirby's out there sparring with Kiba and Koneko-chan? I honestly believe this is unfair, it's like they've been giving him special treatment. Yeah, he's cute and all, but that's no excuse. That's because Kirby-chan doesn't need to. Rias and I sense so much magical energy from Kirby-chan that it's almost like he himself is a magical being. What? You mean to tell me that kid is better at magic than me? Well, that's no surprise, even Asia-chan's better at it than me. Finally, after a long day of training with Koneko-chan and Kiba as well as watching Koneko-chan train Ice, we were finally in my favorite place in the whole house. The kitchen. After Ice had peeled all of the onions and potatoes with his freaky shredding power, I immediately went to work. I'll admit though, the temptation to inhale them all raw was hard to resist. Ice and Asia-chan could only watch as I chopped up potatoes and onions at lightning speed. Makes sense after all. If there's one thing I like better than fighting, it's cooking. Because that leads to eating. Donned in my chef hat and apron, I threw the chopped food into the boiling pot while simultaneously and expertly sprinkling a perfect amount of salt into the mix and stirring. With a taste, I knew it was perfect. It is ready. I smiled and came closer. Can I have a ouch? Yes, I smacked his hand with the spoon, my face twisting into anger. Don't touch my masterpiece. Later as we ate, I sat next to Koneko-chan, she seemed to be enjoying it. That's when Butchu smiled at me. Kirby-kun, you are quite the master chef. This is delicious. I felt my cheeks burn when she said that, it couldn't be that good, right? Ice, who still had a red mark on his hand, gave me a thumbs up. Yeah. Tastes great. Glad you all think so. Akeno-senpai suddenly giggled. Ifufu, it seems Kirby-chan liked it as well. Oh, she must be talking about the stack of 12 towering bowls in front of me. It tastes very good, Kirby-kun. Hey. Koneko-chan's talking to me again. Yay. Butchu suddenly stood up. Well, I believe it's time for a bath. Wouldn't you all agree? She asked the girls as Ice's nose blasted blood again, his cheeks red. You're going together, he exclaimed as Butchu smiled at him. Yes, would you like to join us? I wouldn't mind. How about you girls? Wait, didn't Akeno-senpai tell me that boys and girls bathe separately? After receiving an okay from Asia-chan and Akeno-senpai, she turned to Koneko-chan. And you, Koneko-chan? I'd rather die. I saw Ice visibly deflate before Koneko-chan looked to the side, a blush forming on her face. I wouldn't mind if Kirby-kun joined us. Me? Why? Butchu smiled. Okay, Kirby-kun's a good boy, I don't mind either. Huh? What? Why him? Why not me? Oh no, he was man crying again. You're a pervert. Kirby-kun is pure. I'm pure. Why isn't Issei? Suddenly, Akeno-senpai grabbed my arm lightly. Kirby-chan, it's time to shower, right? Okay. So, here I am, sitting down while Koneko-chan sits behind me, rubbing her fingers through my hair. I think she said she was washing it for me. I'm really glad Koneko-chan's doing this for me. Thank you, Koneko-chan. I really appreciate it. I turn my head slightly and look back at her, a smile stretching my lips. Her face was turning red again. Was she sick or was she getting angry at me again? Koneko-chan, are you mad at me? Her eyes widened slightly before she shook her head at me. I'm not mad at Kirby-kun, she says as she turns her gaze away from me. I can feel the frown tugging at my lips as I turn around and bring my face closer to hers. I could feel our noses touching. Her face turned even more red when I tilted my forehead to touch hers. No, you don't have a fever, but are you sure everything's okay, Koneko-chan? She nodded her head at me, although her cheeks were red, she kept her usual expression. That must mean she's alright. I lean my forehead off of hers and go back to my previous position. Koneko-chan pauses before she goes to wash my back this time. Kirby-kun. Do you think we'll win? What kind of question is that? Of course we'll win. I'll take down Razor myself if I have to. She paused before she spoke again. Kirby-kun, can you promise me that you won't get hurt during the raiding game? Don't get hurt. I don't know if I can really promise the Koneko-chan. I couldn't see her face, but I had the feeling that she was frowning. I mean, I've taken much worse than anything Razor's team could probably throw at me, but that was with my old body, who knows how much this one can take. Can you at least try? She asks me, a hint of worry in her usual tone. With little choice, I nodded in response. As we sat in silence, I suddenly remembered something Ice told me. Hey Koneko-chan. Yes, Kirby-kun. Yeah, I said. Ice told me that really pretty girls have big breasts, the things on girls' chests. When I turned around, Koneko-chan didn't seem happy with me. Did I do something wrong again? Kirby-kun, don't listen to whatever that pervert tells you. Oh, so I did say something wrong. But I wasn't finished. Well, I was going to say that even though yours might be small, I still think you're really pretty, Koneko-chan. Her face was turning red again. Isn't Kirby-chan such a sweet talker, Rias? Akeno-senpai heard us. She was sitting next to Koneko-chan while Butchu to her left, even Asia-chan stood behind of Butchu. Yes, he is. This is the first time I've ever seen Koneko-chan blush. Blush? Is that what she's been doing? Weird. I think it's cute. Asia-chan exclaimed as Koneko-chan stayed quiet. What exactly were they talking about though? I feel lost. After the bath, I, Koneko, sat next to Kirby-kun as we listened to Asia-senpai tell us about her former life as a nun. From the corner of my eye, I could see Kirby-kun falling in and out of sleep, a small bit of drool escaping his mouth. It was cute. I tried keeping my attention on Asia-senpai's story, however, I couldn't after I felt a weight in my lap. Looking down, I found Kirby-kun snuggling into it. I couldn't move him, he looked too peaceful. My fingers found their way into his hair, and I curled his pink strands while he slept, smiling at the cute little snores he was making. I wish him and I could stay like this forever. Kirby-kun sure looks comfy, Koneko-chan. I heard Butchu say, everyone staring right at us. The pervert was crying again, something about Kirby-kun experiencing the legendary lap pillow before he did. Suddenly, I felt Kirby-kun's head shift slightly before his eyes fluttered open and he slowly sat up, drool still hanging from the corner of his mouth. He left my lap feeling empty. I wish he'd fall asleep again. Boyo. Why is everyone looking at me like that? Oh, Kirby-kun. We're training outside again. At the moment, I stared at the mountaintop. Ice had just blasted to smithereens with that attack of his. I'll try that next time I copy it. As Ice fell to his knees and Asia-chan ran up to him, Butchu wore a proud smile on her face, however she turned to me next. Kirby-kun, it's your turn. My turn. What do you want me to do? Come over and copy Akeno. I've always wondered what power I would get from Akeno-senpai. I walked over as she held her hand out for me to take with her creepy smile in place. Once I grabbed her hand, I felt my hair stand straight up and get tingly. So, Akeno-senpai gave me the spark power. But the few crackles of electricity coming from me are yellow, they're usually blue. So you did copy Akeno's holy lightning. Kirby-kun, unleash all the power you have at that mountain. Okay, I'll admit I feel a lot stronger than I usually do when I use spark. Kinda like how I feel when I use ultra sword or monster flame. Well, I guess I'll just have to listen to my master's orders. Yes, Butchu. I felt the lightning crackle violently around me as I felt the ground beneath me shatter. Yep, this definitely feels like ultra sword. Wasting no more time, I raised both of my hands to the sky and slammed them back down, aiming for the mountain that Ice had blasted. Huge bolts of lightning crashing down on the mountain and obliterating what remained. When I turned back to the others, they all stared at me in shock again. Amazing to do that with Akeno's holy lightning, Butchu muttered as Ice also stared at me. That's some crazy strength, completely showed me up suddenly. Butchu turned to Ice and I, a stern look on her face. Do you two see how valuable you are to this team? Your attacks could completely change the course of this game. Ice and I are that valuable. Then I gotta make sure Butchu wins, I can't misplace her faith. We will win. Today's the day, huh? The day we fight the Tracer guy and his peerage in a full-on battle, the raiding game. I can't wait to jump in there and let loose. I've been wanting to get back at that Razor guy since I met him. I know Ice feels the same way too. I was snapped back to reality when I heard Issei give a cry of shock. Your older brother is Lucifer. Like the devil Lucifer. I mean, I know that I'm a devil, but from Akeno-senpai I know that he was the devil king. Does that mean my master's older brother is the king of devils? His name is Serziches. During times of war, the original Lucifer died and Serziches took over, leading the devils through a dark time. So, he's not the original. But even then he must be crazy strong to take that role. I kinda wanna fight him. So that's why Butchu is heir to the House of Gremory. Asia-chan concluded while I stared over at Butchu, he looked like he was in some deep thought. That's when Rias appeared in a magic circle with the Gremory family symbol on it. It is time. So, it's time, huh? Time to go make that Razor guy leave our master alone. I remember hearing that this would be Butchu's first raiding game, so I've gotta make her proud. We all stood on the magic circle and waited to be transported. Koneko-chan went first, then Kiba, Akeno-senpai, Butchu, Asia-chan, Ice and finally me. When I could see again, we were back in the same room. What the heck? Did something go wrong? I tug on Butchu's sleeve as Ice and Asia-chan looked around in confusion. Butchu. Why are we still here? When she was about to answer me, we heard Grafia-san's voice sound out all around us. Hello everyone, my name is Grafia, a servant of the House of Gremory, and I will be your referee for today. To create the battlefield, I took suggestions from both Rias-sama and Razor-sama. What you see is a perfect replica of Kuo Academy, an educational institute in the human world. An exact replica. What does that mean? Kirby-kun, I snap my head up at her, can you go open the window for us? Huh? Okay, I guess. I walk over to the window and push it open and couldn't believe my eyes when I looked up at the green sky. Whoa. I cry out as Ice and Asia-chan come to either side of me and look up. What the hell? Ice exclaimed as Akeno-senpai began to explain the situation to us, which I was grateful for. The last time I saw a sky like that was when I fought Magolor, granted the sky wasn't green. This is an alternate space, it may look like Kuo, but believe me it's not. So, we're in an alternate dimension. It really is just like when I fought Magolor and every other higher deity that I had to defeat, which is more than I realized. Each team will be given a home base. Rias-sama and her peerage will have the occult research club room in the old school building. Razor-sama will be in the principal's office in the new schoolhouse. Pawns will be promoted if they make it to the home base of the other team, good luck to all. She finished before cutting off. Ice punched his fist into his palm, alright. I'm gonna straight to their home base, promote into something amazing and finish this. I grin at Ice and pump my fist into the air. I'm with you. Akeno-senpai merely giggled at us. You two, don't you think we should take some time and think of a plan first? She asked as Kiba spoke up. Come on, think, Razor wants to do the same thing, doesn't he? Shouldn't we keep enough players nearby so that doesn't happen? Way to burst my bubble, Kiba. It's not the first time I've gone and done something stupid. Suddenly, Koneko-chan came up next to me and gently stuck something in my ear. Huh? What's that? But you answered, these will help us communicate during the game. Oh. Makes sense, I guess. Alright, devils. Let the game begin. Alright. I'm so ready. Bring it. We all surrounded a map of the school grounds, each point marked as Butchu began explaining the plan to us. We can't just cut through the school grounds, it's quick but not an option. Koneko-chan nodded in response to this. They'll see us coming a mile away. Butchu nodded. We can't just sneak around the back either. That's the most obvious point of entry. My guess is that Razor will station knights or rooks around the athletic club room. Gah. They're talking super smart tactics and whatever. I'm so lost on these sorts of things, even though Meta constantly tried to explain to me a long time ago. Kiba suddenly spoke up. I think our priority should be the gymnasium. It's adjacent from their home base and not too far from us, plus it'll serve as a distraction. Yup. That's all. My brain has officially fried till this conversation is over. What I did get from the conversation was that Kiba and Koneko-chan would be setting traps out in the woods before she and Ice would go and lock down the gym, while I was to stay with Akeno-senpai till after we met up with Ice and Koneko-chan at the gym, and from there I'd continue with them. Koneko-chan walked up to me. Kirby-kun, be careful. I grinned at her. I'll be fine, Koneko-chan. Same to you, alright. In all honesty, I'm a little worried for her, but I know Koneko-chan can take care of herself. She'll be fine. She gave me a tiny smile before walking out with Kiba. I watched her as she went, a strange feeling of dread crawling up my spine. Great, now I'm really worried. Trying to push down my concern, I hear Butchu tell me and Akeno-senpai, Akeno, your illusionary magic will greatly come into play here. Kirby-kun, stay with Akeno for the time being. Should a problem arise, I want you to be able to copy her quickly. I nod my head in understanding. Kirby-chan, can you use your wings? My wings. Oh, my devil wings, right. I let them fly out from my back. Yeah, I can use them. It was easy, it felt just like when I used my wing ability, to be honest. Then let's be off. Follow me. Akeno-senpai and I took to the skies as I screamed at me for being able to fly before he can. As Akeno-senpai and I flew through the sky to a secluded point of the forest, and as we flew Akeno-senpai spoke. Kirby-chan, may I ask you a question? I turned my head over to her and tilted my head, but nodded anyway. Where were you born? You're clearly not Japanese, and you had too much magical energy prior to becoming a devil to be a human. Where are these questions coming from? Why now? In the middle of an important battle. I was born in. Would she really believe I was born in some other dimension? Where I'm a small pink creature that looks like a balloon with a face, stubs for hands and feet. In a place called Dreamland. No point in hiding if she already knows I'm not quite a human. Dreamland? That's not a place I've ever heard of. I shrugged at her. It's really far away. She merely gave me her creepy smile and nodded. I'll take your word for it, Kirby-chan. Wonderful. Well, it would have been if not for the lady in biker clothes hadn't flown up to intercept us. That mask on her face is really creeping me out. Lord Razor said that she would send some of you into the forest. So that guy Razor knew? I doubt he knows why we're here though. Akeno-senpai, go on ahead, I'll deal with her. Butchu's plan needs to follow through, and it won't work if she knows what we're doing. Kirby-chan. Are you sure? Would you like to borrow my power? I grin at her and shake my head. No, she's not worth it. She smiled at me as the lady in front of me scoffed, watching as Akeno-senpai flew off to finish putting up her illusionary barrier. I cracked my wrists as she turned back to me. Whatever you're planning won't work against us, kid. I just grinned back at her and shrugged. I was feeling really confident today, and I just wanted to fight. Whether it works or it doesn't, I know we'll win. She erupts into full-on laughter at my statement. That was good for a laugh. I don't know if you realize, but you're up against Lord Razor. He won't lose to Rias Gremory's crappy peerage. I'm his rook, Isabella. This lady was definitely way too beepy. Time to knock her down a peg. Just like I did deaded. I am Sakurai Kirby. Rook of Rias Gremory, and I swear I'll beat you down for my master. I was fired up now. She better not disappoint. With no more words exchanged between us, she charged at me with a fist beat back. I tilted my head to the left to dodge before grabbing her hand and tossing her back, but not before copying her. Definitely wasn't disappointed with getting fighter out of her. She raised a brow at my headband and charged at me. Closing my eyes, I let my body weave around every single punch or kick she threw my way. Every punch missed by a mile, as I felt the natural instinct to fight or take over. I heard her growl as more of her attacks missed, until she overstretched on a punch, and my eyes flew open as I planted a precise punch to her stomach. Her eyes flew open and blood erupted from her mouth as she was sent flying back through a tree. I heard a cry of frustration from where she landed. Who the hell are you? That punch was way too powerful to come from a kid like you. I cracked my knuckles as she came and then ducked under her right hook before hopping over her leg sweep and flipping my body so that my heel crashed onto her head in an axe kick, sending her face into the ground and forming a small crater where it impacted. She pulled herself up, a little slower than before as she glared daggers at me. I refuse to lose a kid like you. I must win for Lord Razor. Once again, she went for the charge approach and just like before tried to overpower me with brute force, like the last time I dodged every last one. I don't get why you serve that guy. He can't possibly treat you very nicely. I frowned at her as I dodged her attacks. She only growled in response, and her punches and kicks came wilder but much more predictable. Don't speak as if you know him. It doesn't matter how I'd be treated anyway. I'm his servant and I live to do his bidding. I frown even deeper, this wasn't right. But you're his servant, not his slave. He should treat you like his family and friends. She cried out in frustration. Shut up and fight. I sigh, guess she wasn't listening to anything I just said. Fine. If you insist. In an instant, I smacked away her next jab, leaving her unbalanced as I moved in on her and thrust my fist upward into her chin, while twisting and taking her with me into the air, a burning flame engulfing my hand. Shoryuken. Her mask broke apart from the power of the attack and I saw both of her eyes widen as she flew up. When she landed back on the ground, she barely had the strength to hold herself up on her knees. I wish we could have been friends. You seem nice. Too bad she was the enemy right now, so wasting no more time, I cupped my hands at my side and charged, making sure it got to full power, the bright red ball of energy irradiating, before unleashing it on her. Hadouken. The fully charged attack engulfed her as she screamed, and I faintly saw her disappear in a blue light. She's not dead, right? I wouldn't forgive myself if that was the case. Razor Phoenix's Rook. Retired. I heard Rias call out after my opponent vanished. I'm guessing that's for when someone's defeated. I hope I never have to hear that for our team. But now's not the time to think about it. I need to catch up to Akeno-senpai. I spread my wings and took off, not bothering to abandon the fighter ability, who knows if I'll still need it. That's when I heard it. The explosion followed by 3 of Razor Phoenix's pawns and 1 of his rooks. Retired. Awesome. That must have been Koneko-chan, Ice, and Akeno-senpai. I flew till I saw Koneko-chan began to walk away from Ice as he scratched his cheeks and chuckled. I flew down and landed next to Koneko-chan. She gave me a small smile as I returned it. I'm glad you're alright, Kirby-kun. She told me as I nodded at her. Yeah, I'm glad to see you too. In an instant I saw Koneko-chan's eyes widen and felt her shove me. Watch out, Kirby-kun. Huh? What the? I felt my breath hitch in my throat and my eyes widen. Oh no. Koneko-chan. Issei watched as Koneko-chan pushed Kirby out of the way and when the explosion blasted right on top of her. Not my junior. I was hoping none of us would get hurt during this thing, it was unlikely, but I still held hope. But now I had to watch as Kirby walked shakily over to the downed form of Koneko-chan. He looked devastated. This was the first time I've seen an expression like that on his face. Usually he's either smiling or clueless, but now he just looked destroyed. He knelt down beside her and raised her head gently as she barely clung to consciousness. His lips trembled as tears fell down his face in streams. Koneko-chan looked up at him with weak eyes as he shakily tried speaking. Come on, Koneko-chan, it'll be alright. I'll get you back to Asia-chan, and she'll heal you right up. Koneko-chan barely coughed back in return. Kirby-kun. I only wanted to help but you win and to fight for you. I watched as Kirby's hair shadowed over his eyes while Koneko-chan spoke to him. The tears fell at an even faster pace now. Kirby-kun help but you win. That was when she gave a scream and vanished in a bright blue light. No, Koneko-chan, please come back. Koneko-chan. Please. Come back. I need you here. I need you to be alright. Koneko-chan. My hands, they're empty. She's gone. Where did she go? I barely looked up when I heard chuckling above me. The woman above me, she had her staff aimed at me, where Koneko-chan was. So it was her. How dare you do that to Koneko-chan? She was gonna pay. Oh, she was gonna pay. Nobody hurts my friends. Especially, Koneko-chan. Kirby, you need to calm down. Koneko will be fine. Players get removed from the game and treated when they can't fight anymore. She's not dead. Like I care. What matters is that I had to watch Koneko-chan suffer because of her. She was in pain. What if she was killed? I felt Ice place a hand on my shoulder and give me a sorry look, like that was gonna help. I still needed to pay that woman back. You heard Butchu. Koneko-chan is fine. I could tell he was almost as angry as I was, but he was following Butchu's orders. You should listen to your master. There's a large power gap between us, little boy. You think you can even hold a candle to them? I can't even begin to compare you to Marks or Zero or Queen Sictonia. And then there's Magolor. So, you know what? There is a power gap between us, you're completely right. Suddenly, Akeno-senpai floated down between us. Akeno-senpai, she merely gave a smile back my way. Don't worry, Kirby-chan, I'll handle her. What? No way. After what she did. I was about to scream in protest, but Akeno-senpai stopped me. I know you're angry, but Rias needs you and Ice-kun to continue on, save up that anger, and don't worry, I'll make sure she pays. Fine then, but I will pay you back for this myself one day. I scream out as Ice and I then leave the rest to Akeno-senpai. The purple-haired lady merely chuckled at me, but I meant what I said. 3 of Razor Phoenix's pawns. Retired. 3 of them, who could that have been? Ice and I were suddenly pulled aside, Kiba being the one who did it when I looked up. Hey there. Kiba greeted casually as Ice grinned at him. Hey, you're alright. I bet you were the one who took out those pawns, huh? Yeah, it must have been him. In response, Kiba nodded. Yup, Akeno-san's illusions made it easy for me. Besides, I bet that first rook was you, wasn't it, Kirby? I scratched the back of my head and grin. Yeah, she wasn't so tough. That's when we went inside for a few minutes of cover as we sat down. Did you hear that we lost Koneko-chan? Ice asked Kiba as I grit my teeth when the memory of Koneko-chan's bruised and beaten form came to my mind and almost causing my anger to flare up again. Kiba then nodded his head. Yeah, she was really ready to win today. I wish I had gotten there sooner, or what if I could have pushed her out of the way instead. Suddenly, Ice placed a fist in front of both Kiba and I'm not sure how, but let's win this. I grinned and bumped my fist against his. Yeah. For Butchu and for Koneko-chan. So, with the order from Butchu to lure the enemies away from the entrance to Razor's base, with her plan being to sneak in with Asia-chan and take Razor by surprise, we stood out in an open field. We know you're there. So come out and face us. I agree with Ice, stop being such scaredy cats and get out here. That's when we heard the laughter and saw the smoke flare out. An armored swordswoman stepped out. I am Carloman, a knight in the service of Lord Razor. Asking to be attacked makes me question your sanity, but far be it from me to refuse a fool's suicide. She whipped out her sword and set ablaze. PFFT, big deal, I've done that before. Kiba stepped forward and drew his sword. I am Hyoudou Kiba, Rias Gremory's knight. I've been eager to face another knight, so I hope you're ready. A knight versus knight battle, just like the rook versus rook fight I had with Isabella. Whoa. As soon as they clashed, they vanished. I wish I had the speed of a knight. Well, under certain circumstances, I can, but let's leave that for another time. That Carloman. Her head is filled with the thought of swords all the time. And now when I think I've found a cute boy, he's just as bad. Oh. She's that girl from before. I think she mentioned Ice's dream being gross. Weight or all those girls the rest of Razor's peerage. He still has this many left. Also, what am I looking at? Rias has such a horrible taste. She said as she looked at Ice with disgust before turning to me and hugging me. Yes. She was hugging me. Why? I let you guess. Rias has such a cutie as her rook. Aw. You're just like a cute little puppy. Why do I have this effect on people? Can I really be that cute? Seriously, she's my enemy, and I could already tell she was the snubby type in a different way than Deaded when I first met him most of the time. Always. This always happens to him. Why doesn't anything magical like that happen to me? Girls are always throwing your face right into their glorious oppi. Right, did I mention that this girl had my face in between the mounts on her chest? I don't know why Ice is so jealous, I can barely breathe. In his grief, I could hear Ice summon his boosted gear over his man sobbing. Oh please, don't point that at me and my new cute little teddy bear. Her what? I'm her what? I don't even know her name, yet she cuddles me like we've been friends for ages. Her cuddling is oddly reminiscent of Dee's. Tell me, what's your name, my cutie? Your cutie? I belong only to Rias Gre. Tell me and be my teddy and we'll go get ice cream after the rating game. Made specially by the House of Phoenix. My name is Kirby, I am 15 years old, I'm about 5'2", I live with Hyoudou Kiba, I attend Kuo Academy where I am a first year and… Kirby? What the hell? You're considering this? Ice yelled at me with his jaw dropped and his finger pointed at me in accusation. I turn back to him, where I can feel my eyes sparkling with tears. But she'll give me ice cream, how can I say no to that? So you don't want our master to win? Believe me, I'd want to run off with a Bishoujo too if I were in your shoes. He paused for a moment, as if mentally preparing himself for what he'd say next. But right now Butchu is more important. My eyes widen as I hear my senpai speak words to my soul. Yes. My master is more important than food. For now anyway. Sorry, but I still have to win this game for my master, can we still get ice cream? She scowled at me and pushed away from me, a scoff escaping her lips. As if. I can't believe I was so gushy over a low class like you. I kinda wanna cry now, not because what she said was mean, but I lost the opportunity for ice cream. Nai and Lee, take care of the trash before me. Cirrus, make work of the pawn. Suddenly, two catgirls charged at me as a swordswoman leaped at Ice and bringing her sword down on his head before he was forced to dodge out of the way. Ice can take her, I have to deal with these two anyway. The twins ran up to me at the same time, I ducked under a kick from one and blocked the punch from the other. I'll admit, you're pretty adorable, but one of them started as she tried to spin kick me, which I backpedaled from. We still have to beat you for Lord Razor. The other one finished as she tried to elbow me in the side. I slapped her hand away and kneed her in the stomach before grabbing the back of her collar and tossing her into her twin. They both went down as I saw Ice managing to fight evenly with that Cirrus lady before blocking her sword swing with his gauntlet and then shattering her sword before kicking her in the stomach and forcing her to back off. Hey boys. I think I have something you might wanna see. What was she talking about? I look up at the nearby schoolhouse's roof and saw Butchu descending with Asia-chan in her arms and Razor's waiting up there for her. Oh no. If he gets Butchu, then we're done for. Kirby. I heard Ice call out to me, a serious look on his face. Go. If there's one person I know who can help Butchu right now, it's you. Huh? But Ice just shook his head before dodging another swipe from Cirrus. It should be nothing for that crazy strength you have. Go up there and help our master. We'll take care of the rest. I trust you because if we lose to that Razor jerk he will get Butchu and I'll never get to fondle those magnificent boobs of hers. Ice then Kiba spoke up as well. Right. Go Kirby. You guys. Alright. I'm coming Butchu. Taking off past the two catgirls, I ran straight to the building before taking a grand leap and expanding my wings and heading for the roof. When I made it up there, I saw Butchu struggling to hold up a defensive spell against Razor. She was shocked when she turned to me. Kirby. What are you doing here? I nod my head at her. I'm here to help. From my exclamation, I heard Razor give off a loud laugh. What are you laughing at? Oh ho. This is rich. The little rook believes he can stand up for his king. Listen, if you back off now, I won't destroy you. Razor told me as I felt my blood boil and my eyes narrow. This guy really thinks he's scary, doesn't he? As if. I'm not afraid of you. I simply tell him the truth as we stare each other down, his beepy smirk still in place while I glared at him. Suddenly, a huge pillar of green light blasted forth into the sky as I saw Ice in the center of it. After the light died down, I saw Kiba send his swords over to Ice. Whoa. Ice just used Kiba's power. He's totally ripping me off. I'm the copycat around here. Now I see that all of Razor's remaining pieces vanish. They did it. Way to go guys. I look back at Razor, who is still grinning. Don't you care that you just lost so many of your pieces? Razor merely smirked at me as he snapped. At the same time, a huge explosion rang out in the air and I saw. The Keno-senpai. No way she was strong enough to beat a Keno-senpai. I heard Butchu mutter her queen's name before glaring back at Razor. I still have Ice, Kiba, and Kirby. We want another explosion. This time she got Kiba. How many of my friends does she have to blow up before she's satisfied? I turn a heated glare at Razor, who begins to step toward me, a searing flame forming above his palm. Now it's your turn, you stupid brat. I'll show you the true power of Phoenix. He threw the attack right at me, Butchu screaming my name as it neared. But right now I'm way too angry to hear. On pure instinct from my old body's habits, I opened my mouth as wide as possible and inhaled. A spiraling vortex caught Razor's attack and shrunk it as it flew into my mouth. I felt my cheeks bulge as I took joy in Razor's shocked expression before swallowing. The wisps of flame began coming off of me as I felt my body begin to heat up. Flames erupted from me in a huge explosion as I felt my hair burst into a violent flame that burst upwards. I screamed out once I was done, monster flame. Butchu, Asia-chan and Ice, who had just made his way up here, looked at me with saucer-sized eyes. Razor merely looked at me in shock and I could tell there was a little fear in there. You've hurt too many of my friends, Razor. Now I'll pay you back. I screamed as the huge flaming dragon formed above my head, swirling violently before flying straight at Razor. It slammed into him and carried him upwards before tearing itself straight through his stomach and continuing its way up. I narrowed my eyes when I saw the gaping hole in his gut heal itself, but I know Razor definitely felt that attack. You? How is it possible for you to burn a phoenix? I heard Butchu give a loud gasp as she heard this. I just shook my head before taking off in a sprint till I got to the area below where Razor held himself airborne with his wings of fire. Give me a break. I've fought something with much hotter flames than yours. In all honesty, you're a sorry excuse for a phoenix. I coated myself in flames, forming the shape of a phoenix around me and shooting upwards at Razor and ramming my head straight into his stomach before changing trajectory and taking us both towards the roof of the schoolhouse. I heard Razor scream as we crashed into the roof, where it caused a huge explosion and kicked up plenty of dust. I jumped out of the dust and stood in front of my friends, glaring at where I left Razor. I heard Ice gasp behind me and saw him gaping at me, along with Asia-chan and Butchu. What the hell was that? I knew you were strong but damn. Butchu nodded to his words. Kirby, that was amazing, I had no idea you held this much power, Butchu said while Asia-chan continued to gawk at me. I just shrugged at them. It was Monster Flame, one of my strongest powers. It was the truth, they hadn't seen Ultra Sword, Flare Beam, or Grand Hammer yet either. In a flash that I hadn't even seen, Razor grabbed Asia-chan. He was in front of us now, every last wound that I inflicted on him had healed, and he held her by the back of her head. Oh, what should I do with your precious Bishop Rias? He lit a flame on his finger and held it up to Asia-chan's throat as I watched the tears flow from her eyes. I growled at Razor's cowardly tactic. But if I was mad, then Ice was livid. Let go of Asia right now, you bastard. I screamed as I saw him glare at Razor, the rage flowing right out of his eyes. Is that how I looked when it was Koneko-chan? Watch your tone, boy. Piss me off and her life is forfeit. I heard Butchu growl at Razor, the red aura from before coating her body again. Let go of her, Razor. Do you honestly plan to kill her? She screamed as Razor began chuckling before it erupted into full-blown laughter. I don't see what's so funny. Stop fighting like a coward and fight me. I scream at him, the flames atop my head flaring with my rage. Razor scoffed at me and began to squeeze Asia-chan's head, she screamed from the pain. I-san. Butchu. Kirby-kun. Help me. Asia-chan was screaming. He was hurting her. How dare you, you've already hurt so many of my friends and you make me watch you put my friend in pain. I hate you, Razor Phoenix. I sprinted past, heading straight for Razor with a fist beat back. I'll rip you apart, Phoenix. As I neared Razor, I saw a familiar magic circle encase him before Razor's queen blew him up. Not again. Ice. Butchu screamed as I kept a close eye on the pile of smoke that was caught up in before I saw him come sprinting out of the smoke. The right side of his shirt was blown away and his torso was severely burned, but he kept running at Razor as if it didn't happen. I'll make you pay for even thinking about hurting Asia. Even as Razor's queen set another explosion on him, this burning off the shoulder of his shirt, Ice kept charging at Razor. Take this. Razor, who continued to smirk, blasted Ice with a shot of fire before kneeing him in the face, still holding on to Asia and adding even more pressure to her head. I'm through watching this. I charge at Razor again, lighting myself ablaze and preparing to charge at Razor once again. Only this time, when I was about to charge, he stuck Asia-chan out in front of him. He's using her as a human shield. I growl in anger before cutting off my charge and skidding to a stop. Like I thought trash. Can't sacrifice a precious friend, can you? Shut up, just shut up, you stupid Phoenix. Razor, stop this. Stop doing this to my servants. My family. Butchu was in tears now as she watched this go on. Ice was struggling to get up, it looks like he exhausted himself with all of the boosts he gave himself, he still had enough strength to glare at Razor. Yes, Rias. I want to see you beg for the lives of your dear servants. I want that stupid brat to sit there and watch for his insolence. Yes, watch as I burn her to ashes. What? You'll kill her? Asia-chan doesn't deserve that. I watch in horror as the hand that holds her begins to coat light itself, he's gonna burn her head. No. Asia. Suddenly, I saw a blur of red race past me and wrap herself around Razor's neck. Causing him to drop Asia, the hair on the top of her hair slightly singed. Stop please, I forfeit, you win. Wait. What? I hate today, I mean it, today is a horrible day. I have to watch my master get married off to some jerk that hurt my friends and almost killed Ice and Asia-chan. Razor Phoenix, I think he's the first person I've genuinely hated. I don't think I even wanted to hurt Magolor this badly, but Razor, he's a different case. It didn't help that while we were attending the engagement party, I was told not to interfere by Butchu herself. I guess she doesn't want me to cause an uproar there and have an entire house of devils after me. Also something about gathering unwanted attention from fighting a high-class devil or something. I don't know what that means. We were leaving Ice and Asia-chan, they both still needed rest. I just wish that Razor jerk hadn't fought like such a coward. I know I would have figured out a way to beat him. Immortal or not. Meta would have found some way. He wouldn't give up. He found a way to beat Galactonite. The strongest warrior in the galaxy. Well, I couldn't even protect my friends from some prick. I thought this as I fiddled with the tie around my neck. It was supposed to go with this strange suit I'm wearing. I hate this thing. Suddenly, I see Koneko-chan walk in wearing a yellow dress that matches her eyes honestly. Wordlessly, she walks towards me and perfectly fixes the tie I was struggling with. Thanks, Koneko-chan. I grin at her as the image of her bruised form briefly flashes through my mind. Apparently I was letting it show too much because she gave me a tiny frown. Kirby-kun, it's okay, I'm alright now. She told me and placed a hand on my cheek as I balled my hands into fists. She was fine now, but it still bothered me. I know Koneko-chan, but I hated seeing you hurt like that. She slightly turned my head so that I looked her in the eyes. Kirby-kun, I'm fine. Everyone else is okay too, please don't let the anger get the best of you. Koneko-chan was telling me this and I sighed before nodding and smiling at her. She smiled back at me and moved to leave the room, but I reached out and caught her in a hug, rubbing my cheek against hers, the same as Dee used to do to me. Thanks Koneko-chan. I felt the cheek I was rubbing against heat up, that's not good. Is Koneko-chan feeling alright? Kirby-kun. She stuttered out as I slightly pull away from her and look at her face, she was bright red. Oh no. Is Koneko-chan running another fever? Before I could ask, she was already closing the door behind her as she left. What's up with her? Issei sat down as I tried hard to remember how the rating game ended for myself. Rias-san had come and told me how that asshole Razor had held Asia captive so we couldn't attack, also how Butchu had given up to save Asia and I. I'm always the weak one, damn it. If I had been stronger this wouldn't have happened. Kirby, my junior, put a beat down on that Phoenix piece of shit. Well, I just got knocked aside and forced my junior to refrain from attacking. However, Rias-san hadn't finished talking, drawing me back from my thoughts. Well, you weren't strong enough to defeat Razor yourself. I did see the determination you held as well as Lucifer-sama. He requested that I give you this. He also said, if you want my sister back, go crash the party and take her. Really? In my hand, I held a portal to the engagement party. I could save my master. I'm coming, Butchu. On the back is your way back here after you save Rias-sama. So it could take me there and back. Awesome, then there's no reason not to go after her. Both Lucifer-sama and I believe you can do this. Both of you, then I can't misplace that faith. Right. I will get her back. I exclaimed with conviction. I was gonna beat the Razor douch into the ground. Without another word, Rias-san smiled at me before vanishing in a magic circle. I gave a quick glance Asia's way and confirmed that she was still resting. I'll have to apologize for the stuff I'll be borrowing from her. Knowing Asia, if she wakes up and figures out what I'm planning to do, she'll object. Plus, I gotta pay the Razor jerk back for hurting her. But right now, I needed to have a talk with Drake. I take it all back. This party is great. So much food and it's all so wonderful. But you getting married off to this guy was horrible, but I gotta make light of a bad situation, right? Kirby-kun, you sure have quite the appetite. Well, yeah, I was inhaling all the food in sight. However, I did hear something that actually took my attention from the chocolate cake I was about to swallow. Now, say hello to my beautiful fiancé, Rias Gremory. One of those guards just flew right through the door. When we all turned to the door, it was Ice. About time. Ice, I heard Butchu yell as Razor's eye twitched in annoyance. Looks like he wasn't happy to see Ice. What is the meaning of this? Razor shouted in anger at the sight of my senpai, who merely glared right back at him. I won't let you marry my master. Rias Gremory's virginity is mine. I saw Butchu's cheeks light up as I said that. What does virginity mean anyway? Hey Koneko-chan, she stuck a hand up to stop me, her own cheeks flaring red. Don't ask Kirby-kun. Suddenly, I heard Razor shout, seize him. Oh no you don't. I ran up and kicked the guard right in front of Ice in the head. When I turned to look at him, I noticed Koneko-chan, Kiba and even Akeno-senpai had followed my lead. Ice muttered as I jerked my thumb in Butchu's direction. Butchu is waiting, go save her. Ice nodded and began running before I called out to him. When Ice. He turned back to me and gave me a thumbs up before racing up to where Razor was glaring daggers into Ice's skull as everyone at the party started panicking. That's when a man with the same red hair as my master appeared as Ice slowed to a stop a little ways from Razor. Who's that? I hear Ice ask as I wondered the same thing. Ani-sama. I heard Butchu yell. Wait, doesn't that mean brother? So this guy is Butchu's brother. Lucifer. This is merely some entertainment I have prepared for tonight. Entertainment. Huh. What's that mean? What do you mean by entertainment, Serzich-sama? Razor asked as Serziches raised his hand with a small smile on his face. The rating game was very interesting to watch, Razor-kun. In fact, he then looked straight at me with a hand raised in greeting. Aren't you the incredibly powerful Rook my sister included into her peerage? Oh wait, he was talking to me. Yeah. He nodded in response before turning to Razor, his smile still in place. Of course, against my inexperienced sister who had half the pieces. Razor then gave a growl in retort to Serzich's comment. It looked like what he said really got Razor mad. Do you have complaints about the match? He was growling it out now, he really was upset. Serziches merely closed his eyes and continued. Not at all. The rating game would be meaningless if I did. Not to mention the circumstances involved this time, my old family would be dishonored. I just wanted something flashy for my little sister's engagement party. Sekiryu, I want to see for myself the power of the dragon you possess, so I had Grafia make arrangements. Arrangements? So he was expecting Ice to come here. And Grafia-san helped him get here. Plus, what's a Sekiryu? So basically Razor started as Surzich's smirked slightly as he continued. Dragon versus Phoenix. Wielders of two legendary beings clashing would be quite a spectacle, wouldn't it? It's weird, he was talking about Ice and Razor, but he was looking right at me with a smile on his face. What's that for? HMPH, you'll be my last flame before I settle down as a married man. Yeah right. Ice won't lose to you. Now, we all watched as Ice stared down Razor in a special arena. It was in a completely different dimension, as high balconies were set up for us to watch the fight. I can't wait to see Ice beat him. I wish I could do it, but I guess Surzic-sama decided on Ice. Now boy, what would you like if you win? Surzic asked Ice as Razor perked up from the question. Surzic-sama, there's no need to reward a low-class demon. Surzic only shook his head. Nonsense, if we are asking this of him then we must give him fair compensation. What do you desire? Nobility? Women? The choice is yours. Ice merely shook his head at the suggestions. I think I know what he wants. You know what I want? I want Rias Gremory. Wait, what? I thought he wanted a planet-sized cake. I would have asked for it. I mean, I also would have asked for my master. Alright then, begin. Ice got into stance and pointed his gauntlet at Razor. I'll kick your ass in 10 seconds. Ice exclaimed. Yeah. Go Ice. I heard that girl Ravel scoff loudly from my right. Looks like she didn't agree with Ice. Defeat my brother in 10 seconds, you're insane. No way. Ice can do this. She whipped her head over to me with a glare, but I wasn't done. Razor's definitely gonna lose. I saw Ice look up and give me a smile before I turned back to the scowling Ravel. Oh right, you. Believe what you will, he stands no chance. I shook my head at her. I have to disagree, Razor stands no chance. He'll win, you'll see. Hey, your name's Ravel, right? She looked at me in confusion. I don't know why, I just wanted to make sure I knew her name. Yes, Ravel Phoenix. What is it to you? I grinned at her. You know, you act all mean and stuff, but I can tell you're really nice on the inside. Was her face turning red? Did she have a fever too? Why is everyone getting sick? What are you talking about? I shrugged my shoulders. In all honesty, she reminds me of Deaded, but a girl. She acts all mean and snobby most of the time, but she shows what she cares for without realizing it. Sometimes, Deaded is like my older brother when he's being nice. You just remind me of a friend of mine. I bet you and I could be friends too. She glared at me and turned back to the match. As if I'd be friends with a low class. No matter how adorable you are. Wait, what was that last part? I didn't really hear her. But enough about that. I saw Ice charging towards Razor, screaming for a promotion from Butchu as he jumped up at Razor. I may not have skill in sword fighting like Kiba. I don't have talent in magic like Akeno-san. I'm not a powerhouse like Koneko-chan. I don't know the very first thing about healing like Asia. And I can't copy every power I see like Kirby. But if it's for my master, I will become the strongest pawn and even overthrow God if I have to. Go. Over booster. Welsh dragon over booster. Whoa. Ice was glowing. Suddenly, he was covered in a full suit of red armor. Wow. His boosted gear can do that too. I really gotta copy it and try it out sometime. This is the power of the Dragon Emperor. Balance breaker. Boosted gear scale mail. Balance breaker. What's that? I do know that Butchu was shocked by it, judging by her wide eyes. Wasting no time, Ice flew at Razor and the fight began. Ice was a lot faster now. And his attacks looked really strong, even Razor had a hard time dodging. Ice flew like a bullet into one of the pillars surrounding them. When Razor dodged, Ice picked himself up as Razor screamed at him about the hellfire of the Phoenix, and I wasn't listening. Razor coated himself in burning flames as he and Ice slammed into one another and caused a massive shock wave. Those two were really going at it. The fight raged on, as Ice and Razor fought it out. It was getting intense. Apparently though, Ice had a cross in his hand, and it actually hurt Razor. Razor suddenly shouted at Ice, "You gave up your arm, didn't you? It's a dragon arm." Ice gave up his arm. How would he do that? It's still on him. How would it become a dragon arm? It doesn't look like Landia's. Ice had said that a dragon doesn't have a devil's weakness. Wait, we're weak to crosses. I didn't know. Wait, I fell asleep when Asia-chan was explaining, I think. Although, Ice knew he couldn't get his arm back, he didn't care as long as he could get Butchu back. Alright senpai. Ice got up and charged Razor once again with cross in hand, until. Oh no, the armor, it broke off. Ice fell on his face as it looked like he was out of energy. Something rolled out of his pocket when he fell. Razor then started to laugh. Oh. So you brought holy water as well. Too bad you're so damn weak. Now you'll burn to nothing for challenging me. No, he was gonna kill him, it was like the rating game all over again, he was gonna hurt my family. Damn it. I'm sorry Butchu. I almost beat him. Butchu was screaming for Razor to stop, but I wasn't gonna sit here and watch Razor hurt my friend again. Razor. I screamed as everyone present turned their attention to me, even Surzich-sama, with the same smile from before on his face. I'll finish this fight. Drop Issei. Everyone was shocked at my outburst, especially Ravel, who stared at me as if I was crazy. She exclaimed as I turned to her, matching her glare with my own before smirking. Yeah, let's make a deal. If I win, you have to be my friend from now on. I jumped over to Butchu before she could respond, but I did see her gaping mouth. Razor was glaring at me as he dropped Ice, who punched the ground beneath him in pure rage. Butchu, can I please borrow your power? She stared at me before she shook her head furiously. Kirby, I will not send you there to fight. Not after what happened to Ice. Even if you're stronger than Razor, he's immortal. I shook my head at her. I'll be fine. I have an idea. Butchu stared at me, I could tell she didn't want me to go, but she relented and stuck her hand out which I grasped. I felt power rush through me, a lot like a Keno-senpai. I feel so powerful. So this was Butchu's power, I could see from the bangs falling in my face that my hair was red like hers now. The power of destruction. Without wasting time, I nodded at Butchu and leaped down to where Razor was, spotting Koneko-chan giving me a worried look. I smiled at her before I landed next to Razor and Ice, who still looked defeated. Come on Ice, get up. I told him as I placed a hand on his shoulder. Razor was just watching us the whole time as his wounds healed. Ice growled as I slung his arm over my shoulder and stood with him. He gave me a sideways glance and sighed. You know, I was supposed to be the one to save Butchu, I even gave up my arm. I still want to beat the Razor asshole into the ground, but I can barely move Kirby kick his ass for me. I smiled at my friend before leaping up to Butchu and dropping Ice into her arms as she held him tight. I smiled before turning my attention back to my opponent, he was glaring back at me. I leaped down to face him, my own glare not loosening. You keep interfering with me boy, if you do not watch yourself you'll get burned. I didn't even bother responding as I walked over to the cross and holy water Ice had dropped. I grabbed them both in my left hand. HHHH. I screamed when I felt the burning in my hand. Ow. It hurts. It hurts. But if what I'm planning works I can beat this guy. Fool. You would grab a cross and holy water. I heard everyone gasp as Butchu shouted for me to stop. Sorry, can't do that, I have to do this. Combine. Power of destruction and holy light. Create. Holy power of salvation. I, Rias, watched as my cute little rook erupted in a mixture of black, white, and red that blasted out from his body. Kirby, you've done something impossible. You've put light and darkness together. How is it possible for my rook to have so much power, the power of destruction and light, something that should be lethal to devils, and he turned it into a weapon for himself? Is there no end to your surprises, Kirby? I asked myself as I stared at the now red and white-haired boy facing off against Razor. At low class had he obtained the ability to use pure light, but how? He should be dying as we speak. I can't believe I originally wanted to have him as my teddy bear, yes, a rather embarrassing memory. But now, I look at the determination on his face and the power coming off of him, and I can feel my face heating up. Wow, this power, I feel so strong. It hurt a lot pulling this off, but it was worth it. Prepare yourself, Razor. How you've put together the holy and the demonic, that should be impossible. What are you? Razor screamed at me as I glared at him. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. I raised my palm and shot a small blast at Razor's shoulder. It hit and I saw blood and smoke rise from the attack. Before Razor could pick himself back up, I ran at him and charged the power of salvation around my fist before punching Razor right in the stomach before giving him an uppercut to his chin and sending him rocketing into the sky. Heavy steam rose from Razor as he continued to cough up blood. He barely kept himself airborne with those flaming wings of his. I stared intently at the spots where I hit him and I saw that they were healing a lot slower than usual. So this was affecting him. Again. For a low class to fight on equal ground with me again. Die, you filth. He then charged up a huge ball of flame, even bigger than the one that had given me monster flame, and chucked it at me. Like I was scared of this. Expanding my wings, I flew above the blast zone and felt the force of the explosion beneath me before I flew straight at Razor and brought my fists together and coated them in the holy demonic power before smashing it right down on Razor's head and sent him crashing into the ground face first. Serves him right, but I'm not done. When I landed, Razor was barely standing on his feet as he leveled a glare at me. I sent one just as fierce at him as I approached, my fists once again glowing with my new ability. Once I was in front of him, I sent a punch into his gut with full force. That was for coming and trying to force my master to marry you. I punched him again, watching the blood fly past his lips. That was for Kiba. Another one. That was for Akeno-senpai. Again. For Asia-chan. Once more. That was for what you did to Ice. Another. That was for what your queen did to Koneko-chan. I pulled back and charged as much of my power into my fist, and this is for even thinking about hurting them. I shoved my fist as far into his stomach as I could as the ground exploded beneath us in an explosion of light and darkness. Ack. Razor coughed up loads of blood as he flew back and crashed into the throne he was sitting in before as it collapsed on top of him. I grinned as I realized he was unconscious. I won. I won for Butchu. For everyone. But whoa, I feel really tired and the ground it was crumbling. That new power it used up so much of my energy, I can barely even see now. With my blurry eyesight, I barely saw Ravel grab Razor and take off before I felt the ground beneath me give way, then I saw black. Kirby-kun. No. He was falling. I got up quickly and bolted down to him with my wings fully expanded. I had to catch him. I managed to grab him in my arms as he peacefully rested, the power had left his body and left him with the pink hair that I'd grown accustomed to. Kirby-kun, you're so powerful, I can't believe we're both the same piece and yet you're so much stronger than I am. Rest for now, Kirby-kun, you deserve it. Everyone else flew up beside us as Butchu still held the unconscious pervert that fought for her in her arms. Although she looked sad, Butchu sent her own smile to Kirby. Ice, Kirby. Thank you, both of you, Butchu said, although she knew neither of them could hear her. Akeno-senpai giggled, ara, such an eventful day. Hyoudou-senpai just chuckled and nodded along with her. Now it was time for us to go back home, Kirby-kun. End of the part 1. So how was this story? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this story with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.